thin by Western standards. Of course they be thin by Western standards. Western standard female characters, you know what they look like. Localizers, translators, whatever you want to call them, WOKALIZERS, are being replaced by AI. Now it sucks to lose your job and all that, but here's the thing. We're not sympathizing. We're laughing. They messed around and now they found out. So the latest chapters of the manga, The Ancient Magus Bride, is now using AI translation, officially. The official statement is that they're using this to combat piracy in English translations. But we know they're just trying to save money. But they might save more money than they expected, because some of these localizers, well, they might have been a net negative, as we'll see. First things first, if you don't know what a localizer is, well, what do localizers do? They adapt text and graphics using a product or service from one language into another language, or at least that's the official definition. Now, what do localizers think they do? Well, according to Twitter, manga translators aren't bilingual dictionaries, they're artists who interpret the creativity of the author to write the series for a new audience, conveying the craftsmanship that resonates with its human audience. Yep, you heard that right, folks. They're artists. That's what they are. This tweet got so much flack that they deleted the original tweet, but as you see from the screenshot, many people disagreed with it. Any localizer who fancies themselves as an artist should go make their own creations instead of overwriting the creativity of Japanese writers. Translation isn't an art, it's a faithfully portraying a foreign author's work in another language. So here's the thing, these people can't make their own creations. I mean, look what happened to Hollywood. When you put a bunch of Western people together, well, that's basically what you get. And now they're trying to get into anime, manga, etc. because I guess they ran out of stuff to ruin in Hollywood. I got a theory for why these type of people are all over the entertainment industry, but maybe more on that in a bit later. The only type of artists these people are those artists that pretty much paint over public property and perform vandalism like those climate activists. And no one likes these climate activists, right? There's a lot of problems with Western localizations, specifically for English-speaking audiences, and for some reason they always get away with it, such as this case. Western localizer brags about deliberately botching High Dive's English subtitles for My Life as Inukai-san's Dog. Yup, you heard that right. Deliberately botching. And they're bragging about it publicly on Twitter.com. In any other industry, they'd be fired on the spot. And it's not like this is some, like, oh, you're such a great performer that we're going to overlook this incident. No, they're a terrible performer. A lot of these anime translations are just downright bad. In fact, there's publicly documented Twitter accounts that track this, such as Bad Anime Translations on Twitter. And yeah, this stuff is pretty well documented. It's pretty public common knowledge. Yet for some reason, these translators get a pass. One thing localizers really like doing is inserting their own opinions and ideologies into the dialogue, such as when they replace the term lolicon with problematic age gap in the anime of Dark Gathering. In extreme cases, localization can change a story completely, such as in the case of I Turned My Childhood Friend into a Girl. Now, based on that title alone, you already know what type of ideologies they're going to be wanting to insert into that. That's right, it's now a story about a trans character. And don't worry, they consulted with all their trans friends about it. But you know who they didn't consult? The official author. And when the author found out, oh well, let's just say they were not happy. The official statement by 7Seas was that, well, they had to do a reprint of these issues. Basically, reprinting, that ain't free. Reprinting, that costs money. So this localization was monetary losses. So on top of AI being more efficient and saving them money, it's preventing stuff like this from happening. So it's preventing these losses. So I think this might be a win-win for the anime and manga industry. Remember when we had to deal with things like jelly donuts? Oh, I miss those times. It seems these days more and more translations are just getting worse and worse. In this tweet, they say, pre-internet and mainstreaming of Japanese culture, American translators were a tiny niche who, even when they took liberties, generally liked and respected what they were translating. As the field got bigger, it employed more frustrated writers and quote-unquote creatives. Now, this is basically what I wanted to talk about, how I think these type of people are getting into the entertainment industry. So I do think there's some truth in how they're saying that people aren't really fans anymore. Those are the people that are actually working the jobs. Basically, the antis are working the jobs. Now, the truth is that who is getting these jobs? Hopefully, writers, maybe English majors. Now, I want to say that type of stuff is PvP. So if you know about games, that's player versus player. Now, the opposite would be player versus environment, PvE. Something like the medical industry, doctors, pharmacists, nurses, that's player versus environment, because the environment is basically always providing them with customers and jobs. PvP, yeah, these guys, they're gonna be struggling for the highest paid jobs, and it's gonna be literally exponentially diminishing returns from there on out, trickling down to the bottom of the barrel, which I guess would be anime and gaming, because just how gaming journalism is. Basically, what I'm saying is it's not like there's a lot of these jobs out there, and it's not like they're super high paid. So the people getting to the level of anime and gaming and whatnot, these aren't like the top of the top candidates, you know what I'm saying? And they're not like the most passionate people either. In fact, they might be the opposite. It's more like they couldn't really find anything else. As for why these types of people all seem to skew a certain way, well, why do you think that is? I could go over that, but I have a little more tweets I want to go over first, so let's get to that. So from my earlier examples in this video, and you can see why I'm calling them WOKALIZERS or woke localizers, but of course you'll have lots of people denying this type of thing exists, such as Mr. J. Allen over here. Anyway, it's clear that quote-unquote woke localizers is based on maybe 5% actual translation errors, generous, and 95% right-wingers pushing a fascist agenda of erasure. Liberalism exists in Japan, period. Feminism exists in Japan, period. Queerness exists in Japan, period. Enter. Deal with it, period. Oh god, this can't be real. This gotta be a simulation. Is this like a South Park episode or something? So apparently this is the person that got mocked on Japanese national TV for complaining about Uzaki-chan. Reminder that Unseen Japan, oh god, was mocked live on Tokyo Daytime News for trying to shut down a blood drive over an Uzaki-chan poster, but he still insists that he's an authority on Japanese culture despite being a bald white guy from Seattle. Oh god, let me tell you about bald white guys from Seattle. So bald white guys from Seattle, they're bald of course, slightly overweight maybe. They're holding their avocado toast on one hand and their $500 kombucha tea on another hand, all while complaining about income disparity, of course. So you ever heard about the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, Chaz? So it's this place in Seattle that used to block off all entrance from police officer because, cops are evil because they got guns and they've hurt black people, and of course Black Lives Matter. So if you support police, you're racist. So I'm trying to get coffee, right? And there's this long line, and I'm like, what's the holdup? And there's these five punks at the front, and they're like, well, we saw this business sell coffee to Officer Jenny over there, and if they sold coffee to Officer Jenny, then they're racist. And if you enter in this business, you're also racist, and you're also a fascist, and you're also a bigot, and you're also and I don't know if I'm that, but you know what I'm also? A customer. So get the frick out. Like, oh my god, these people, man, they cannot be real. So that's the white bald guy from Seattle for you. The same type of white bald guy from Seattle talking about how the woke localizers aren't actually a real thing and that it's just some like right wingers pushing a fascist agenda. But these localizers, these WOKALIZERS, are unfortunately very real, as we saw earlier, and in fact, they frequently brag about what they get away with. In this tweet by Scratchpoint, localizers suddenly pretend to care about the creator's words being mangled by machine translation, but the resumes consist of bragging about the rewrites they got away with. It's not about respect, they want to maintain a stranglehold on translations. So they definitely want to maintain this stranglehold, because they're trying to maintain their status quo. like I said earlier, it's PvP, and these people are quite literally fighting at the bottom of the barrel for what scraps they can get, because it's not like there's going to be more and more of these translator jobs, and with AI coming, it's just going to be less and less. And those small scraps that these people are holding on to are just super, super small, because let's face it, if these people had higher level skills, they'd be working at jobs, in the government, could be in the CIA, FBI, doing translations, or, even on a website like twitter.com, making it work for another language, localizing it for Brazilians or whatnot. Literally anything would pay higher than what they're doing now in anime and manga. It is what it is. But basically these people, and you can't say like, oh, it's because they're so passionate about anime and manga, that's why they're working here. No, you see these people working at, the Department of State or the CIA or whatever, I'm sure they like anime and manga as well. But you know what they like? Money. And they have the skills to make that money that these people like Katrina don't have. If anime was paying that high, and people from Facebook, Twitter, whatever, also competed for these jobs, let's just say Katrina would not be in this position. We wouldn't even have this mess in the first place. I mean, just take a look at these terrible business, professionalism lack of professionalism from these people. The one time I saw a fat joke about a young female character that was thin by Western standards, of course they'd be thin by Western standards. Western standard female characters, you know what they look like. I changed it to a joke about her poor taste in wardrobe. It was for a volunteer project, so nobody noticed. Fingers crossed. Well, look, this is just terrible business professionalism. Imagine if you were just ordering a burger or something and you're like, oh, I want ketchup. And then the person in the back, they're just like, I'm going to take away the ketchup and hope nobody notices. I'm going to own the chuds. Like, who are you owning? Like, just put the ketchup on. Like, God. In any other field, there'd just be some serious consequences. So imagine you're a software developer at a big company, like Facebook or something, and you see this line of code, blacklist. And, blacklist, that doesn't sit well with you because that's problematic in 2023. So you delete that line of code. And next week, it's all over the news. Millions and millions of dollars were lost from Facebook. Hundreds of thousands of customer data was leaked and being sold at the dark web, and tons of identity theft left and right. Yeah, serious consequences. Like, imagine you're a translator for the government. You're doing some foreign diplomatic stuff, and you pull this BS, you're gonna start World War III. You know what I'm saying? This is serious. But this type of stuff is literally left and right is common, and they're admitting it on public social media, which is absolutely wild. And somehow they haven't been fired. It's just unfortunate that the whole industry and the highest level influencers like Mr. Mother's Basement, he/him, are just putting this in such a negative light and just so against the AI translations and so for the WOKALIZERS. But what more can you expect from the literal soy jack himself? The amount of disconnect between what is being said across these industry people and people on social media is just kind of crazy. If you go on social media, people are laughing about it, you get what you deserve, and they didn't want this to happen, but it happened, and they don't sympathize. But you know what? They're going to come around to loving AI, especially that closed source corporate AI that's going to be installed on all your phones and computers and websites and whatnot. And we're going to be having this same conversation next year when they're going to shift the goalpost to hating open source AI. The AI that you can install on any device you want, train with any data you want. Yeah, they're going to hate that because they can't control it. And that's the one thing they love, control. And with AI, the possibilities are endless, and that's something that they fear truly. I kid you not, next year it's going to be I heard Crunchyroll and Netflix are using Japanese AI. Japanese AI? Isn't that the one made using open source data scraped from the internet? Create, don't scrape. We have to support the artists. Open source data is unethical. We need you using the AI trained using the curated data fit for our tastes. We need you using ethical AI. We need you using Californian AI. fit for the modern audiences? Yeah, we're going to be seeing that topic in a year. See you then.